Today's interview is with John Doherty, an entrepreneur, founder of Credo, a company that connects big companies with the right agency or marketing consultant for their needs. We asked John about his favorite books, and he replied, "My favorite business book is either The 4-Hour Workweek or The E-Myth Revisited. I like both of these individually because they show a different way to build a business and a life than the narrative you usually see online. As a first-time entrepreneur, these have been invaluable to me. I honestly don't read much beyond business books at this point, so I can't really pick a non-business book." We asked John, was there a moment specifically when something you read in a book helped you? Can you tell us about it? He replied, "I've had a few of these times through my life. The first time was when I was spending some time at a commune in Switzerland. I was reading this book called Beyond Identity, which basically explained in a way that made sense to me the different challenges and feelings I had been struggling through. I felt like a veil was lifted off my eyes and I could see clearly, and I actually broke down in tears. I look back on that day as a pivotal day in my life." The second time was when I was reading Ben Horowitz's The Hard Thing About Hard Things. I was traveling quite a bit for work at the time and remember sitting in an airport, I can't remember which one, ordering food and reading. I literally could not put down the book, and during that sitting I felt an overwhelming sense of relief that every entrepreneur deals with make it or break it moments many times, and that it is indeed possible to push through and come out on the other side stronger as a person and as a business. We asked John about the books that had the biggest impact on him, and he told us, "The business books that have impacted me the most are 3 I already mentioned. The 4-Hour Workweek, because it opened my eyes to a different lifestyle from the normal. The E-Myth Revisited, because it pointed past being a solo entrepreneur to building a team and a company that can run without me. And The Hard Thing About Hard Things, because it encouraged me to keep going." We asked John about his reading habits. How often does he read and in what format? And he replied, "I read a lot actually, but also find that the constant flow of information online in entrepreneurship and marketing circles could be a full-time job in itself. Therefore, I use Pocket to save articles by utilizing their Chrome extension. This way I don't miss them and I can go back when I have the time. I do almost all of my reading on the Kindle app for iPhone. I started reading digital copies years ago because I was reading so much and was tired of carrying physical copies of the books at all times. That said, I sometimes get sent advanced copies of books that have come out, so I will read those in physical format. I also just recently read Alex Honnold's Alone on the Wall, which is a semi-autobiographical read on his free solo rock climbing accomplishments in physical format, and I finished it in under 24 hours. We also asked John, how does he make time for reading? And he replied, "I'll be honest, I do not read as much as I would like, but I tend to read a few articles from my pocket queue every evening before I go to bed. I actually do most of my reading on airplanes since I'm not connected to the internet and have time to read uninterrupted." Maybe there is a pro tip in there for myself and others who waste time on the internet instead of reading. Turn off the internet on your phone and spend that time reading. We also asked John, "Do you take notes or have any other technique for conquering the torrent of information?" He replied, "I have taken notes at times, but overall I don't. I most often read on my phone, which means switching back and forth between apps to take notes. However, I use the Kindle app highlight feature frequently to highlight the portions I read that seem meaningful. I find that this helps them stay in my mind. That said, there are a few books I've read where they have very specific challenges that have required taking notes or creating a document." We asked John, "How do you choose the books to read next?" And he replied, "Honestly, I usually get my books from other people via recommendations, and when I open up my Kindle app, I pick one that I'm in the mood to learn about. At any one time, I'm reading 4 to 6 books. I'm currently reading a biography of John Rockefeller, a book on personal finance, rereading a few books that I've mentioned above, and have one non-fiction book about poverty in inner cities." We also asked John, "Do you prioritize the books recommended by certain people? Is there anyone that you consider a book recommendations guru?" He told us, "I get my book recommendations from many different places. Because most of them are business books, I most commonly get the recommendations from coaches and business mentors. I honestly feel like at this point, I've read most of the popular business books, and now I'm getting specialized recommendations from people who know me best. On the personal fun reading book side, my #1 recommender is my wife. We also wanted to know, what book is John currently reading and what is he expecting to gain from it? To this question, he replied, I am reading quite a few books right now. In order. Book #1, Titan, The Life of John D. Rockefeller. I'm trying to gain insight into what made one of the most successful people in recent history successful. I believe in learning about people like him, both the good and the bad, and thinking critically about how I want to live my life. Book #2, The Big Leap. I'm undecided on this book so far, but the book's goal is to basically help you rethink what success means and to push through our limits to the next level in life, whether that is business, finances, or relationships. It feels a bit too hedonistic for my tastes, but I'm willing to finish it out and glean some of the good things from it. Book #3, 0 to 1, Notes on Startups or How to Build the Future. This book is by Peter Thiel, who, while I completely disagree with his worldview, has seen thousands of startups both grow and fail. They have some interesting takes on what it takes to make a startup successful and look towards changing the world. Our next question was, in the Indie Hackers interview, you mentioned how you made sure you are protecting your downside, a lesson learned from Richard Branson. Can you share a few other examples of how you have applied this lesson in business? To this question, John replied, I think this is one of the most valuable lessons in business. Many more experienced entrepreneurs than me will disagree, but I do not believe in burning the ships, as it were, and giving yourself no other option other than for business to succeed. With Credo, I have protected the downside of running out of money by taking personal consulting clients while also building Credo. I know that even if Credo went belly up tomorrow, I could still pay myself and not take a lifestyle hit. I should note that this is the downside part that I don't really need to cover anymore because Credo has grown so well. So, a new downside that I'm looking to cover is what happens if I get hit by a bus tomorrow. Morbid, I know, but having clear instructions written down and in a trusted person's possession ensures that my family and my customers will be taken care of if the worst happens. We also asked John, skiing and rock climbing are some of your favorite hobbies. We know many entrepreneurs who practice sports to unwind. Except for all the obvious health benefits, what other effects do they have in other areas of your life? John replied, This is a funny answer after my answer to the previous question, but yes, I agree, many entrepreneurs do sports to unwind. It's been proven to help you both physically and mentally. Physically, because you tire yourself out and that manages stress, which helps you mentally. I also found that these two sports are challenging to me, both mentally and physically, as they are both difficult on the body and require a lot of problem solving. I'd say that having hobbies like these also reminds me that there is more to life than work. I love the outdoors and spending time outside, and even though these sports are physically tiring, I find myself energized after a weekend or on an evening of challenging myself. This was our interview with John Doherty. If you want to find out more about him and his website, visit johnfdoherty.com. You can also find all the books and links mentioned in this interview in the video description. Thank you.